Whoa, Lord, that's up close and bright. Usually I have this set up already, but try that out right there. Get everything going. Yeah. So get this set up here. So. Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday to everybody. And I can already hear it. Yeah, I'm back. Welcome back to the channel, Jesse's Occupational Awareness Show. As always, I'm your host, Jesse. Paint a little backstory picture. At the time of the filming of the last video that I did, I think I was in a pretty dark spot. In fact, I know I was. I've been here in Virginia for right at 2 years now. I got here in June of 2020, and now here it is May 2022. I started this channel a year ago, and I realized, short of the quarantines that I've had to do from COVID, I really hadn't taken any time off from work and had been going pretty hard. We're shelling out a lot of future crewmen, busing mates into the Coast Guard. For that, I really am enjoying it. But I hadn't really taken any time for myself. Now, the quarantine times were nice because, yeah, you're not going to work, you're home, but that's it. You're stuck at home. That's cool for about 2 days, but by the end of it, start to feel kind of like Jack Torrance in that Stephen King. Actually, that wasn't the Stephen King, the Stanley Kubrick movie. So, yeah, a couple of coworkers got together with me and basically ordered me to put in for leave, civilian equivalent of vacation, take time to myself. I think they had noticed by changing my pace, personality, and all, starting to get a little bit run down. So I did. I put in for leave. I've been off since Thursday afternoon. Been hanging out here at the house, relaxing. The weather, for once, here in this weird area has just been absolutely beautiful outside. I feel great. One of those coworkers who I know trolls the channel but doesn't ever say anything, you know who you are, he said, "Now Carter, when you're off, I want you to crank out quite a few of the videos." I said, "Man, I'm pretty much done with that. You saw my last video." And he said, No. You didn't say done. You said you were stepping back. Okay? You have. Now, let's get back into the swing of things. I want to hear some prison stories. I said, "Dude, just watch the channel." He said, "I did. I watched all of them. I want to hear more of the stuff." I was like, okay, whatever. And I had already noticed that the outpour of comments, you can't see them. They're hidden. I get emails from viewers as well. Pretty much every single one of them was supportive, save for the few couple of here and there's. "Oh, okay, yeah, you're shutting down. Clickbait. Click this one. Watch this." It's not what this channel's about. It never has been. It's never gonna be. I like the views. I love the subscribers. If I influence one person, I've set out goals that I accomplished too already here. So the outpouring that I got was extremely supportive. Individuals sympathetic of, they understand the burnout. Others were, you probably just need to take some time to yourself. So many thank yous for the influence. I didn't realize how many individuals I've influenced who had thought about hiring on with the career and painted a picture for them of what they could expect, and all of it came true when they got into it. And others who were considering the career, backing away from it, finding other gainful employment, and being thankful for not taking that step and ending up in a mistake or in a rut like a lot of individuals who hire on with that. So I took all that into account. I took the last 3 days to myself, have done absolutely nothing but rest, relax, hang out here at home, do what I want to. I feel great. And I started thinking about the channel, and I started thinking, God, I have got the absolute worst farmers. Ugh. When we're at work, we take our uniform jacket in the civilian world, blouse in the military world, military blouse in the military world, and we just have our t-shirts with our personal flotation device, life jacket. Well, the sleeves cover it, and the rest of it just gets burnt AF. I might try to. God, this is horrible. I might try to even that out. Maybe, depending on if I ever get some time to myself. So, I started thinking about it, and yeah, there are a lot of topics I haven't covered at my time there. While I was only at TDC for just under 3 years, there's still a lot of things that I can talk about, a lot of stories that I can tell, and I'm gonna I'm gonna try to get back into it. I'm gonna start with this one. Hopefully, you guys can get through my rambling here, and we'll certainly get to the topic. But I'm going to start a new series, and I'm going to do the first video. I'm going to do the first story in this video, and I'm thinking about titling it When Good Inmates Go Bad. Now, you're probably thinking, I thought all inmates were bad. Well, they are. Whatever. Hey, I love you guys. They didn't get to prison for, okay, I know there's innocent people in prison, whatever. They didn't get there because they sung bad in the church choir. All you got to do is go to Texas Department of Criminal Justice Facebook page. Right now, they've got an escape, and the guy's being looked for all over the southeast, southwest border of Texas. Visitation has been shut down for so many units, and all the family members are complaining, oh, I can't see my loved ones. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going down that rabbit trail. Needless to say, there's a lot of complaints about visitation shut down, and there are multiple agencies that are looking for this individual. How did he get away? I don't know. It happens. Hopefully he's caught sometime soon. Maybe he has been. I don't know. I glanced at it. It shows up on my feed. I don't follow it closely. You know, that's one thing I could do. I should start following the feed and giving you guys updates about what's going on at TDCJ from my perspective. If that's something, series you guys would be interested in, let me know. Comments, down below where they go. Maybe that's something I can get into. But for now, let's start up with this new series. When Good Inmates Go Bad. All right. Now, what does that actually mean? Not all encounters where inmates were negative. I did have a lot of negative ones, and there are plenty of archive videos in here that talk about it. There were a lot of times when an altercation with an inmate, it wasn't necessarily positive, but it wasn't bad either. You know how you're walking in the store and someone says, hey, how's it going? Or they say, excuse me. Oh, sorry, let me scoot over for you. You know, it wasn't positive. Nothing good came out of that. Somebody just wanted to go on about their lives. But it wasn't negative either. You know, fight didn't break out, no negative words. You didn't gain anything from the situation. It was just in passing. And that happens a lot with inmates as well. Sometimes they'll just pass by. What's going on, boss? Another day, man. I hear. And they just walk on by. All right. These particular stories, I'm going to start remembering, writing down, and going over altercations that I had with inmates that it started off on a good note, rather positive. Didn't think I would have any problems, and just absolutely exploded into negativity. Start with the first one here. All right. I was working SEG. This would have been EPOD. Don't know the date, don't know the times. Okay. OGs that are in there, a lot of times they'll call them shot callers. They're the guys that pretty much make or break the pod. You know, if you come in ready to work and the shot caller don't like you and there's word out on you, it's just going to be a negative ass day. The other inmates, they might not even know who I am, but because this guy says I'm a piece of shit, I'm a piece of shit, and that's how they're going to treat me. Didn't even give me a chance. It just is what it is. First impressions. So if you had a good, what's the word? If you had a good reputation with an OG or with a shot caller, you weren't buddies by any means whatsoever, but life could be a little bit better while you were trying to work. This particular shot caller, he was an old dude, older black guy, real heavy set. He was in a wheelchair. I don't know why he was in a wheelchair. I don't know why he was in seg. I just know that he was there. It wasn't uncommon for inmates to have, what do you call them, disability tools, walkers, canes, crutches, wheelchairs. Did they need it? Most of the time, no. But they were really good at their act. They were good at what they were doing, and they were allowed to have it. You know, this dude could probably get up and walk around. I can't tell you how many times you'd walk in a cell, dude that has a wheelchair, and he's up in there fucking walking around. Or the first time I went to pat down a guy who was in a wheelchair, I go to start patting him down. They don't teach this in the academy. I'm patting a dude down, and he says, "Hey, boss, would it make it easier if I stood up for you?" Yeah. Fucker stands right up. All right, man. Thanks. Didn't even, was so green, so rookie at the time. Didn't even know what to do about that one. So I guarantee you, there's probably about 30 inmates hanging out that saw that just absolute died laughing, and I wasn't even paying attention to it. So with this particular shot caller, he ran the pod. He ran E-Pod. He moved around. Okay, he got shuffled around from pod to pod, but he typically settled out in E-Pod. And I had quite a few altercations with the individual when it came time to move him somewhere. It was difficult to pat him down because they're supposed to pass their clothes to you, and shake those out, take them to the day room, and go from there. This guy, you couldn't really do that. He was stuck to his chair. You know, he'd pass us his shirt, but his pants and everything, he wouldn't even mess with those. And he'd stick his hands. They're supposed to go behind your back, okay? You can't do it in a wheelchair. As big as this guy, get his hands together, you know, about yay close. Big. I'm not talking muscle-bound dude. I'm talking fat, okay? I'll just call it what it is. Just a fat dude. So we'd cuff him in the front, and he'd roll out with his chair. You'd reach down, get each wheel going. Once he got in enough, we'd come around the side of him. He took up the sides of the door. You couldn't squeeze in between him when he was in it. So other times he'd stick his hands out. I'd grab the chain. I'd pull. I'd get the chair moving forward. And I'd roll the guy out to the day room, put him in there. A lot of times he turned down going to the day room. He couldn't, if he could, he didn't. Okay, I never saw him out of the chair. If he could get up and walk around, he wouldn't. So he really didn't have much to do but roll around the day room and yell and everything. What this guy's business was, he was a sender-receiver. He would send, receive messages. I don't remember his exact cell. Let's just say he was pretty close to the day room on the lower tier. So let's call it cell number 5. Okay. Dude in 62 needs to get a message over to cell number 2. Okay. So how does he do that? He yells over to this cell over to that cell, this one to that one. If it needed to get to cell number 2, it had to be approved by this guy. This guy would hear the message out in the air. If he approved of it, he'd pass it on. Or he'd have one of his other lackeys pass it on. One way or another, it had to get through this guy. And then cell 2 would get his message, and he'd pass it back. And all day long. And this wasn't going on just between these cells. This was going on all freaking day. That was the cause of a lot of noise. Okay. The guy was also real big, heavy into trafficking and trading. Trafficking and trading is illegal at TDCJ. It is a charge. Trafficking and trading is inmates passing things to each other. They're forbidden to call each other. They're forbidden to write each other. They're not supposed to give each other even a damn ramen soup. But it happens all the time. The way they would do it, God. The way they would do that a lot of times was through fishing. I've already done a video about how fishing works. They take the string out of their clothes, they attach it to some kind of a weight, usually a flattened out tube of toothpaste, and they'd slide that across the floor. Guy over in the other cell, he'd send his out, and that shit would get all caught up in it. And then the guy who sent his out, he'd pull whatever was attached to that string, piece of paper with some writing, magazine, crushed up ramen, crushed up cookies, whatever it was. He'd pull it and it would get to his cell. The way they'd get it up to the second tier, guy up on the second tier, he'd throw his line out and it would dangle. And it's hanging. And he'd lower it down and somebody would tell him when it was on the floor. And then this guy would send his line out, he'd snag it, he'd pull it, and whatever was up from the second cell, it'd hit the floor, run up, it'd go over the railings. I might try to draw this out sometime. It'd go over the railings, down onto the floor, and it would go from there. Other times, shit got passed through the SSIs. I know I've got quite a few of them on here who watch the channel, and yeah, I tried to catch you fuckers all the time, but man, y'all were good. Mad shout out to you, man. I had my job to do, you had your job to do. Y'all did it better than I did. So, nothing but love for you on a good job on that one, man. So this guy, he would just send notes a lot of times. Anytime somebody new would get in the cell block, he'd send out a note. And I remember intercepting it one day. I was only able to read so much of it. One of the guys in another cell close by, he saw me starting to read it and started just silverback gorilla and beating and banging on the door, yelling out all kinds of code words. Everyone else had picked up on what was going on. They started beating and banging. They were trying to get me to stop reading that note, which I did. I ended up dropping it and walking off. But what I do remember of it saying was he was the guy to hook up with and could get him all kinds of hookups. He could get him food. He could get him any kind of weapon he needs, any kind of hygiene. Talk to him. And at that point, that was when I was done reading it. It wasn't very elaborate, wasn't very ornate, but what he was doing was setting the guy up to extort him. Okay, the guy was all in for racketeering, extortion, all that, and he was good at what he did. One of the reasons he was so good at it, he was so civil with the COs. He never cussed at me, never yelled, always smiled. He kind of laugh and chuckle, just yes sir, no sir, chuckle, all that good stuff. One day, I caught him intercepting one of the kites. All right, I saw the line going under the floor, went down on it. I ran over to it, and I stepped on the line. You had to be real careful about grabbing that shit with your hands. I didn't wear gloves all the time. A lot of times I wore the black mechanics gloves. This particular time I wasn't. Be careful touching that line because they put all kinds of nasty shit, literally, on that line. And if you grabbed it and they knew what you were about to do, they'd yank it. And it would go taut and tight and it'd slip through your hands. And if you were unfortunate enough to get your hands cut, whatever was infected in that nasty shit, well, now it's in an open wound. So a lot of times I didn't chase after kites. I'd let happen what happened. If it happened right in front of my face, I'd do something about it. And in this particular time, it did. I was making one of my security rounds. A line from second cell came flying out. It hit. I saw it. I stomped on it. I yelled out, "Go ahead and stop fishing. I got it." Lines went loose. Okay. Pulled in everything. There was some soap attached to it, a crushed up suit. This is coming out of OG's cell. There was a bar of soap, the green stuff coming out from it. He had poked a hole in it, run the cord through it, and a suit tied onto it with his note. Okay. I didn't even bother to read this note. I just went over to the guy's cell. It's like, "Got you, didn't I?" And he looks at me. "You got me, boss. You want to write it? Write it." "Nah, I ain't gonna write you, man. Just, man, you got to get better at doing this, man. Hey, man, I'm the best in here. You got me." All right. I pulled all that shit out, took it all up, threw it in the trash, went over to where the picket was, threw it in the trash can. And I heard yelling, "Hey, Boss Carter, hey, come here, man. Come over here, man. Normally, if someone called me over to him, not normally, anytime somebody called me over to him, I wouldn't go over to him. If you did that, you got the whole fucking pod. Hey, come here, come here, come here. And they'll just have you running around all freaking day with that. I heard the guy, told him to come over, looked back, and said, hey, what you want, man? Hey, you throwing that away? Really? Yeah, it's contraband, man. Oh, man, that's some fucked up shit. I had never heard the dude go off like that before. The other pods, they all went silent. This OG, he didn't go off like that. He starts banging on the door, hitting, hollering, calling me all kinds of hoe-ass bitches. Man, you just threw soap away. That's something for a man to wash his ass with. This man just got in here. He ain't got nothing in here. I'm trying to help this man out. You ain't doing nothing but goddamn it. And it just went on and on and on. Basically, he was trying to give the guy some soap and some soup. The guy, when he came in, I wasn't on shift when he came in. He probably didn't have anything. And he was giving this man this stuff so that way he would have it. But also, once you take something from somebody in prison that they're giving to you, you owe them. And it's not a 1-for-1. A lot of times it's either a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1 with the repay kind of stuff. So while I did hook the guy up for not owing him a debt, man, maybe the guy hadn't been to the shower for a week or something. I don't even know who the guy was that was in that cell. But I know that I had interfered in that altercation, and from then on, anytime I went into EPOD, whistle siren would start. And the day was just absolutely awful from there. I couldn't open a slot without it getting jacked or trays getting thrown back at me. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was all because of that dude. So I know I resigned at some point after that incident had happened. That wasn't why. I know it didn't help. Anytime, usually it wasn't when Raymond was on shift. It was whenever the nighttime LT was filling in. Officer Carter, EPOD. Oh, fuck. And you could hear Sorrell and Campbell in the background. Woo, Carter. Long day. Everybody knew, but there wasn't anything anybody could do about it. It was all on me. Damned if you do, damned if you don't for doing your job. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and close here. This has been way too long. I hope that y'all been able to get through this. I hope that you're able to stick with me, follow through. I got a lot more I'm going to follow in with these series. I might even start playlisting some of my archives so they're a little bit easier for everyone to find. I don't know exactly how to do that. It can't be that difficult. So now that I've got a little bit of time to myself, I'll look into doing that. Everyone stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Have a blessed, happy Sunday. I look forward to seeing everyone in the next video. Take care.